So, murderers in film. What makes them so damn appealing? I mean, we all love John Wick, Bad Boys, Die Hard, with some exceptions. But every year, we always get a new flavor of mass murder on the big screen. They range from great to to... However, in 2021, in a sea of The Protégés and Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon Cities, one film just sort of came and went, and that film is Nobody, one of my favorite films of 2021. You see, since the world was, and still is, stuck in a never-ending nightmare, the last thing on most people's minds was, what's the hottest movie out right now? Don't get me wrong, people were going. Hell, I went as soon as they opened back up. However, there were two things that kept people from immediately returning. One, they were still afraid to go back. And two, there wasn't any real big movies coming out to help bring people back. I'm sorry, but The Empty Man and Monster Hunter just weren't gonna cut it. So a movie starring the guy from Breaking Bad and a fist didn't manage to turn much heads. It also suffered from a constantly shifting release date, from February to April, then back to late March. So anyone that was interested in seeing it didn't know when the hell it was coming out. Plus, Godzilla vs. Kong, one of the biggest films of the year, was coming out less than 5 days after Nobody. And that all added up to making less than $60 million worldwide at the box office. As well as most people that I've asked about it thinking I was a madman because they had no idea what the hell I was talking about. I mean, to be fair, this is the same person who put Spiral on his top 10 films of the year list. Clearly, my opinion means nothing. I mean, either way, apparently Nobody is a high-octane fist pump and thrill ride. They got 3 of those words right. The movie begins with our hero Hutch, all beaten up, sitting in an interrogation room while the FBI interrogate a kitten. Flashback to, Monday, where Hutch is going through his weekly routine of jogging, work, sleep. Tuesday, oversleeping, pointless comments by his wife Becca. Work, sleep. Wednesday, working out to the image of his wife. Work, sleep. Thursday, jaunty strolls. Work, sleep. Friday, work, pillow forts. Wednesday, working out the image of his wife. Tuesday, sleep. Oversleep. Thursday, jaunty comments by his wife. God damn, doesn't this man do anything interesting? Eventually, we get to another goddamn Monday when something fun happens. Armed robbery. He tries to call 911, but gets caught. Unfortunately for the robbers, who the f carries cash anymore? They settle for taking his worthless watch, and he sees a weird-ass tattoo on one of the robbers. Then his son attacks them. He has the perfect opportunity to stop them, but instead chokes, and his son gets a black eye courtesy of one pissed-off robber. They get away, and the police show up, and what was the thieves' master plan to get in and rob them? A pizza box. I mean, I've heard of worse schemes. Next thing you know, you'll be telling me they got robbed by a fucking flea. Literally, everyone makes fun of him for doing nothing. Even the officer. Sorry, not even a pillow Berlin Wall can cheer him up. So he goes down to sleep on the couch when his adorable daughter comes out and says they need a cat. Oh man, she's the best. Still can't save him from missing the garbage though. Breakfast is about as awkward as you'd expect.
Oh, and you missed the garbage.
Even through trauma, at least some things never change. He gets ready to go to work when he runs into his neighbor, who I couldn't even be bothered to name because just like his dad, he gives us a car and is just dead for the rest of the movie. Like, he doesn't even flinch at the thought of his dead dad.
Yeah, the old man croaked. He didn't have much to leave, but at least I got something out of it.
My dad just died. But f*** him! All he gave me were these damn Funko Pops! Hutch heads to work, only to find good old Uncle Charlie, who's such a badass that when he gives Hutch a gun, he forgets to put the safety on and almost shoots him. Wait, why is this guy a badass again? And with this newfound weapon, Hutch puts it in a box in the freezer. Freezing it does not make it edible. Ah! Then he meets up with Eddie, his father-in-law, who goes, yeah, come on, I need you to overpay for this stuff if you really want it. Capitalism at its finest. Eventually, he gets to work and he calls his brother through the built-in radio in his office. Turns out, the reason he didn't attack the robbers was because the gun was never loaded in the first place. Doesn't matter, because their grand haul was like, what, 20 bucks? Really hit the jackpot there. He goes to visit his dad, David, played by Christopher goddamn Lloyd. He doesn't really say much, so... Back home, Abby says how she's missing her kitty cat bracelet, and there's no way they could have possibly stolen that. Right? Hutch then immediately leaves, grabs his kill kit from his dad's room, and sets out to find the robbers by checking local tattoo parlors to get more information on them. During his search, a vet calls his badge out as bullshit, and they get ready to kick his ass, until the vet sees his tattoo. A 7 of clubs and a 2 of diamonds. He then makes the best decision anyone's ever made and gets the f*** out of there. many times a year does this happen to warrant that many locks? In case you're as confused as I was as to why he was so afraid of that tattoo, it's a reference to Texas Hold'em and how that is, statistically speaking, the worst starting hand you could get because you can't make a straight out of them. If you're like me and never played Texas Hold'em and clocked out the second we started talking about card games, basically if you see these cards, you're f***ed. He points them in the direction of the robbers and Hutch takes off. He shows up at the robber's apartment and takes his watch back, but there's just one more thing missing.
The kitty cat bracelet.
Give me the goddamn kitty cat bracelet, mother. What are you talking about? I swear to God, I don't know. The goddamn bracelet.
He then nopes the out of there once he sees a baby. He decides to take his frustrations out on the nearest object. Unfortunately, the nearest thing is a wall, and yeah, he gets on a bus to head home when this happens. Don't worry about them, they're fine. Especially once they see the glorious mode of transportation in front of them. I love these guys. It's too bad that they're jackasses though. Hutch then goes, "Dear God, just please, let me kick their asses!" They act like jackasses to everyone until Hutch locks the bus doors and starts one of my favorite action scenes in the past few years.
I'm gonna f you up.
What I like so much about this fight is that it feels extremely real. Like, Hutch gets his ass kicked, and you can clearly tell this man has been stuck in this loop for a long time. And as a result, he's extremely rusty. It feels like he's slowly throughout this remembering how to fight and gets more adept and lands more blows as it goes on. The fight choreography is just on point. It does a great job of making this feel more like a street brawl rather than the spectacle that a lot of films go for. It just overall creates a brutal yet investing action scene that I find myself rewatching a ton. Highlights include in him getting thwacked by the chair. He eventually kicks her asses and even ends up paralyzing the main Russian kid. He saves him in a scene I definitely can't show. Yeah, we have a case of things most people definitely would not like to see in their lifetime. If you're really curious though, here's my artist rendition of it. He heads home to find his wife, who seems way too eager to seal his gaping stab wounds. Then he complains about the lack of sex. Join the club. They head up to their bedroom, remove the DMZ between them, and no! Cut to Yulian, whose superpower is nearly causing 3 accidents in the span of 20 seconds. This man is the Russian mob's designated performer who looks like he's having the time of his life up there. Look at him, he looks so happy that even a bit of constructive criticism doesn't bring him down. And when he's down, nothing brings him up like a little bit of murder. And cocaine. He heads on down to the hospital to find his brother paralyzed, and yeah, real is not a prognosis. When he finds out that one guy did all this, that makes him beat the ever-living shit out of this guy. Until one of them gives Yulian Hutch's bus pass. The next morning, Hutch is instantly in a better mood. Wonder why. His brother calls him to congratulate him on crippling a couple guys for life, and tells him to go see the barber because that Yulian guy is the world's deadliest dancer. Hutch heads down to see him, and the barber tells him how Yulian guards the Op Shack. All of the Russian mob money in one convenient place. But he just wants to party and retire. Meanwhile, Yulian has found Hutch's dad, and has a hacker blackmail some guy at the Pentagon to get some details about Hutch. Instead, they get some snuff films, and the hacker rushes to get the f*** out of this movie. Yulian then sends a team to capture Hutch. However, Hutch sees him coming and sends his family to the basement. They bust in, and Hutch takes him out in a variety of ways, including him casually stabbing a guy, then wiping the blood off. What? Does the blood affect its ability to kill? And Hutch whacking this guy with a tea kettle onto the lasagna he made. Until eventually he's tased and captured. Meanwhile, the remaining bad guys want to go to the hospital, but this guy says, "Pfft, they're just scratches, walk it off." Oh yeah, I got plenty of scratches. Let's see, this one was from when I got stabbed getting a pop. And this one was from when my brother got pissed at me for talking shit about the NBA. And this was just for being a fucking idiot. Hutch wakes up, dislocates his thumb to get out of the handcuffs, and instead of jumping out the back, he picks a more elegant solution. I've heard of worse ways to escape. Most of them die in the crash except for the main guy, who got plenty of scratches from the crash. Hutch tells him how he used to be an auditor for the CIA, FBI, etc. He was their problem solver, making people disappear, and then he fucking dies, leaving Hutch to monologue to himself about his crippling backstory. He warns his father about the goons and heads back to clean up and gets his family out of here so we can have a third act fight. He gathers all the goons in the basement except one guy is still alive. So Hutch goes on to tell him the story of Alan and how after he stole $3 million from the US military, Hutch came to collect, and he decided to listen to Alan, and heard how he genuinely regretted what he did, so he let him go. 1 year later, he came back to check on him, and found he made a whole family for himself, and got an honest job. Hutch decided he wanted that too, so he left and resided to domestic bliss. Except the guy fucking died in the middle of his speech. Oh, and the kitty cat bracelet was under the couch the whole time. Well, Hutch burns the house down, steals his neighbor's car, and the goons arrive to kill Hutch's dad.
Come on, Davey. Please turn that down.
He bought that? How many TVs are that loud? And shoot blood. He heads back to work to buy the business, and how do you top a generous offer? A big bag full of gold bars.
Well, hold on a minute. I get a say in this.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. Pop, don't.
Charlie bitches about it until Hutch kicks his ass. Eddie accepts, and Hutch tells him to get the f*** out. Julian finds out that 10 guys weren't enough, so he decides to get everyone. Hutch then gets ready for the third act fight by setting a bunch of Home Alone traps. He packs up a bunch of guns and gas and storms the op shack, killing everyone inside. Oh, but hold on. Hutch stops his massacre to admire and then steal Julian's art. He sets the op shack on fire and gets a front row seat to Julian, live and uncut. They try to shoot him, except he ordered a claymore instead of steak, so they back off. He tries to reason with Julian by telling him his obligation to the op shack is gone, on account of it being ashes. He gives him an offer to retire and f*** off to the Caribbean. Julian picks option B, manslaughter, except Hutch seems oddly excited about it. They go on a car chase throughout the city, which shows that no, Hutch isn't perfect because he f***s up the timing on his escape plan, but still manages to take out a few of their cars. He leads them to the factory where he still has the painting and gets hit because he's just sauntering there like there's not a care in the world. Luckily for him, his brother Harry and his dad are here to help him fight the Russians. They split up to kill them in a variety of fun ways, like just a whole lot of these Home Alone traps. Harry gets a triple kill while Hutch takes the time to make sure the accident sign is accurate. I know we're just racking up the bodies here, but come on, gotta keep the accident report accurate. They all meet up and lock eyes and look like they're about to kiss right now, until they remember, oh yeah, we're fighting the Russian mob. And Harry gets shot. They're all out of ammo, and so Hutch decides to take the explosive way out and blows Julian the f*** up. So the day is saved. Hutch lives and smuggles a kitten into interrogation while Harry and David get away. The FBI try to interrogate Hutch, but they get a bunch of calls saying to let him go. 3 months later, Hutch and his family get a new house, and Hutch gets a new mission, while Harry and David go on a cross-country road trip. Alright, our first mass murder film is done. Must be a bitch to clean up after them, though. This film does a great job of making Hutch feel like this former badass who throughout the film is slowly remembering the skills he once had, and it results in some fantastic action scenes. This film just has such a fun style with creative shots. Like, we get a gun cam, so if you ever wanted to see a murder in the first person, here's nobody. Julian is also kind of a batshit insane villain. I think he has a fun presence when he's on screen. Plus, it's super fast paced, like we get in, get out in less than 90 minutes, so it makes the film feel like a breeze. If I had to say something negative, is that it just sort of does a variation of the John Wick formula, mostly because it was written by the guy who made John Wick. It doesn't really do anything too different, but just because it doesn't break new ground, doesn't mean that it's worthless. Not every film needs to break new ground. It's a good version of the John Wick formula, and it was extremely fun. Sometimes that's all you need to do. That's why for me, Nobody was one of my favorite films of 2021. Speaking of which, I'm going face to face with my very first opponent, the IRS. They really seem to love sending me these thoughtful notes. Just add them to the collection. If you can't see them, you can't lose.